welcome to my channel if you're new, welcome back if you're a subscriber. In today's video, I am participating in the little secret Santa that Lexi from Books with Lexi put together, which was so awesome of her. So the way it worked was we submitted a wish list and then we drew a name for who we were going to recommend a book for. And then we all got recommended a book by whoever drew our name. So for this vlog, I will be reading the book that was chosen for me by my secret Santa, and you'll just have to keep watching to see what I end up reading. I'm here to draw my name. Let's see. I'm trying to frame it and press the button at the same time. Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh, who's it gonna be? Yay! Exciting! I'm so nervous. I hope I choose a good recommendation. All right, so I filled out my wish list and this is like the stuff that it recommended on the site, which is funny. It's like a Starbucks gift card, chocolate, these tumblers. Anyway, here's my wish list. So I said I love isolated settings, I love dark academic vibes, horror and thriller books are my preferred genre, love serial killer vibes, love podcast elements, love slashers, haunted house books are fun, usually if they're not too slow paced, don't like romance smut, don't like twin tropes generally, and don't like sci-fi or cosmic horror. Hello, so I was given The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher for my book, and immediately when I saw this, I got really excited because I've been wanting to read this book for a while, and I recently read A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher and really loved it. I thought the writing style was really fun and quirky, and I gave it 4 stars. So I immediately was interested in checking out what else this author has put out, and I read What Moves the Dead, and unfortunately that one didn't work as well for me. I only gave that one 3 stars, but that one in tone was very different from A House with Good Bones. So I was told that The Hollow Places would probably be a better match for my reading taste. I have gotten about 17% into the book so far. It might be 20 by now because I did listen to some of it in the car today, but I want to tell you what this book is about and then kind of my thoughts so far. So this one is about this woman and she recently got a divorce, and it has a really quirky writing style. So as you're learning about her life and how she's going through these sad situations, it's still kind of funny and humorous, and I was noticing myself chuckling as I was listening to it. I was actually listening to it on a walk around my neighborhood because it has been such a beautiful week this week with the weather. And so she is describing how she's losing her house, she's losing her husband, and she's going to have to move back in with her mom. And her mom and her have a relationship where it's best if they keep their distance from each other, definitely not living together. So she's super worried about being in such close quarters with her mom, but she's like, what's my option? And her uncle actually reaches out to her and he's like, hey, I have this museum, as you know, because she has spent time at his museum growing up with him before. He's this really like eccentric man who has these, you know, curiosities. He has these taxidermy, all these things that have lore. They seem kind of not authentic, but he has like these skulls and all this stuff. And so she used to help him at his museum, and he's like, hey, I actually need some help. Are you interested in coming and living with me? And she's like, wow, this is actually awesome. I would much rather live with him than my mom. So she goes and she lives with him, and she starts to befriend this barista in town, and he's this eccentric guy who she met in the past, and nothing about him has changed. He's always had this really quirky personality and this fun sense of style, and so she befriends him, and one day she finds this weird hole in the wall in her uncle's house. And so she hits up Simon, the guy's name, and she's like, hey, can you explore this with me? Can you help me with it? And so they end up going through it, and it kind of takes them to an alternate dimension. And so this seems like it's going to be kind of science fiction. Science fiction horror is usually not my comfort zone, but I am really keeping an open mind with this, and I'm loving it so far. It's really enjoyable. I got to a scene in the alternate dimension on a school bus, and the imagery was very creepy in it. I really like the imagery, and I'm just really enjoying the tone of the book. I feel like it is fast-paced. I know that I was seeing in some comments that it was kind of slow, but it's holding my attention. I really want to know what's going to happen. And my favorite thing about this author is their writing style, their tone. I really like their voice. It's funny. I can really see these quirky characters. I love that I feel like I actually know the characters. Sometimes I feel like when you're reading a book, you know, you get described a character and they're kind of described as quirky, but you don't really see it. But here you really get a feel for these characters, and they're both really fun and unique. Hello, I wanted to give a wrap up for The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher, which is my Secret Santa book pick. And I want to share kind of what I liked and then the things that bumped it down a few stars. So my final rating, it's really tricky. I feel like this book is the kind of book where when I immediately finished it, I didn't really know what I wanted my rating to be. I was kind of not fully sure how I felt about the book because it was kind of out of my comfort zone. It had more science fiction elements in it and kind of a little bit of fantasy elements in it than what I'm used to. I'm used to horror and thriller books, and usually they don't include those elements. And so I didn't really know exactly how I felt. I knew kind of how I felt, but I needed to let it simmer for a day or so. So I finished this one yesterday, and now I'm here. It's the next day, and I'm kind of giving my final thoughts on it. So I'm thinking it's either gonna be a 3.5 star or a 4 star, and probably for Goodreads, I'm just gonna round up. But I want to talk about what I really enjoyed. So I really love T. Kingfisher's writing style. She uses a lot of humor throughout in her books, and I feel like it just makes the narration so fun and enjoyable to listen to. And this book is mostly about two characters. You get the most scenes with these two characters. So it's the main character, Kara, and then her friend who is a barista. And I love the barista scenes with him. It was so much fun because I could really relate to some of the stuff he was talking about and just like the experiences because I am a barista. And I loved Simon so much. I thought he was so quirky and fun, and I really enjoyed their relationship because it was completely platonic. And I feel like a lot of times in books, they try to throw in sort of like a romance, and there wasn't romance, they were just friends, which I really enjoyed. There was some horror in this that was really effective. I specifically really liked a scene involving a bus. I thought that was probably the creepiest scene, but also there was some body horror mixed in, which I thought was really effective too. I thought it was disturbing visually. Also throughout the book, Narnia is mentioned, and I did read a few of the Narnia books when I was little, and it makes sense because in Narnia, you kind of walk through this wardrobe and you're in a new world, and this is the same. This is sort of like a portal horror book, and so even the characters in the book kind of made that connection and talked about Narnia, which I liked because then I was able to compare it to that world. I also really love the imagery in it. Going into the other world, I was able to imagine everything. It had a really cool atmosphere. So those are all my things I really loved about the book. I was mostly engaged the whole time. I didn't want to DNF or anything. It held my attention. There was a little bit of a lull in the book, but for the most part, I was really engaged, and I was listening on audiobook and really enjoyed listening on audiobook. I took a walk and listened to my book, which was nice, and I thought it was perfect for this book to be outside while I was reading about the other world. So moving on to some things that I didn't like, or not so much didn't like, but that were just sort of adjustments for me. I really had to adjust the way I was thinking about the book when you do go through that door to the other dimension. That just was different than anything I had read before, so it kind of took me a little while to adjust to it. And I will say one thing that I didn't really like. It's hard because I totally understand why the author did this. Without going into spoilers, basically you get a lot of the main character's inner dialogue, and you get a lot of that in the really intense scenes, and I felt like it took away from those intense scenes sometimes. And again, I can't say why you got a lot of it and why it made sense to get a lot of it, but I kind of wanted some of those scenes to not have as much of the inner dialogue of the main character because I think that would have made them scarier. So I really do want to read more from this author. I'm excited to find out who my Secret Santa was. I honestly don't really know. I didn't have a guess of who it might be because so many people participating in this have actually read this book and have heard me talk about T. Kingfisher, how I wanted to read more T. Kingfisher books. So I'm gonna sit down in a second and watch the video to see who my Secret Santa was, and I'll film my reaction. All right, so I'm sitting down on my couch. I'm gonna open the email that Lexi sent me from my Secret Santa and see who it was. All right, I'm clicking on it. It's Kaylee! I could tell from the thumbnail right away. Can't even see it all, but that is Kaylee. Let me see what she has to say.
Hello, Sav. It was me. I gave you the book. I was so excited to get you, and I knew exactly what book to give you because I knew you recently read A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher, and you had wanted to read more T. Kingfisher, so I was able to give you that push. And I recommended The Hollow Places because that is actually my favorite T. Kingfisher out of the full-length novel. So I'm curious, since you really enjoyed A House with Good Bones and I didn't like that one as much, what your thoughts are on The Hollow Places. So this was definitely selfishly motivated just so that I could see what you thought of it. But I hope you enjoyed the book because I definitely had a great time thinking of book options for you.
How fun! That's so fun because I actually did my Lights Out Book Club live show with Kaylee and we were talking about that, wondering where we would rank like the T. Kingfisher books that we had read. So I've read 3 now. So I read A House with Good Bones and then this one, The Hollow Places, and then What Moves the Dead. So I think I would still put A House with Good Bones above this one, then The Hollow Places, and then What Moves the Dead. This is so fun! All right, that's it for this vlog. I had such a fun time participating in this Secret Santa. Thank you so much, Lexi, for putting this together. Thank you, Kaylee, for recommending a great book. And make sure you subscribe to everybody who participated in this, and also just in general, everyone who is a co-host for Escape the Readathon. We've been having such a blast this month, so I will list everybody's information in the description box, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.